Hello, my name is James P. Tobin, and I'm a graduate student at Southern New Hampshire University in the Master of Arts program in English Literature. This is a brief presentation on an aspect of my capstone which focused on the existentialist writings of Albert Camus, the Algerian-born French philosopher, whose work defined much of existentialism in the latter half of the 20th century. The participants of this forum hosted by the National Council of Teachers of English, thank you for providing me this platform to present some novel, interesting finds which the past 2 months of research have yielded. I'm grateful and excited to share my original work with the members of the Council and any others participating. Thank you again. I trust you will enjoy my work. My research on Camus the Stranger breaks new ground in the field of literary existentialism. This research elevates existentialism from its usual morbid connotations. I argue that Camus rather celebrates a life well led in The Stranger as opposed to the common perception that he meditates too much on something like death. So questions of the good life are addressed in the novel, and the theme and intention of this research is to elucidate new themes in Camus' work. This research naturally draws from published sources in Camus' own philosophical and literary writings, such as The Myth of Sisyphus, which is a long-form essay on existentialism. This is briefly the contents of this presentation. Rationale was originally to elevate Camus from the doldrums of the existentialist fascination with death onto a higher plateau where one might see that he actually celebrates life in a kind of a counterintuitive way. So, as he's someone is thought to be the crystallization of decades of thought, I felt that Camus was a perfect philosopher and literary figure to examine questions related to the meaning of life, the value of life. As mentioned before, a lot of the modern scholarship on Camus ignores a lot of the uplifting elements. Usually, especially in The Stranger, the uplifting elements in the work relate to the dark humor. The meaning of life is often seen through like a lens of dark humor. Cursory reading that may be sidestepped or ignored. So it was the intention of my research again to really focus in on those scattered instances where Camus is speaking through the page to his reader and reminding him or her that the novel is not meant to be too much of a long slog through the existentialist philosophy of death. I viewed Camus' work in The Stranger as a thesis in itself on how to live a life which accepts and integrates life's suffering. Viewing the work through a philosophical lens, especially through the lens of existentialism, I found greater depths in Camus' work. Some background. Camus scholarship has existed for the better half of a century. It is focused on themes of being, fate, and the nature of existence, hence the name existentialism. Camus has had contemporaries such as Jean-Paul Sartre, who wrote a very lengthy essay called Being and Nothingness. I did not examine this. That was one limitation that could have been addressed in the process of developing this thesis would be to read that to have a better context from which to proceed. If we were to look at the myth of Sisyphus, which is Camus' essay basically on suicide, we'd be tempted to kind of write him off immediately as a morbid individual. But why would he write if life was meaningless? That was my research question. And I worked to expand Camus scholarship to embrace and accept a Camus that is a little bit more lighthearted. Response: responding to Camus' text and methods, I feel it's safe to say that other scholars might empathize with my methods and perspective in reevaluating Camus. So, in conclusion, it's evident that Camus achieves a unique place among existentialist writers because he, through the character of Monsieur Mousseau in The Stranger, posits life against death, overturning the common conception that existentialism focuses too much on death and suffering. In terms of limitations, I would mention that some of this research could have been broadened by reading more text by Camus or by reading Being and Nothingness by Sartre. Also, the question of translations. I read a pretty reputable translation, but if I spoke French, if I was a francophone, probably learn more. We're excited. Please review. Thank you very much. Have a great day.